Thank you for staying with us. Well, women's equal participation and leadership in political and public life are essential to achieving that sustainable development goal by 2030. Of course, data released by the United Nations shows that as at 19th September 2022, that's last year, there are 28 countries where 30 women serve as heads of state and or government. But at the current rate, gender equality in the highest positions of power will not be reached for another 130 years. Just 13 countries have a woman head of state. 15 countries have a woman head of government, which means women are underrepresented at all levels of decision-making worldwide. And that achieving gender policy or gender parity in political life is far off. Of course, Nigeria has been recording low participation of women in both elective and appointed positions consistently. This is a growing concern for many Nigerians. Concerted efforts have been made and are being made by government and non-governmental organizations to increase the level of participation of women in politics in line with the declaration made at the 4th World Conference on Women in Beijing, what is known as the Beijing Conference, which advocated 30% affirmative action. Let's have a conversation around this morning with Dr. Ndok-Jegede, who is chairperson, United National Party for Development. She joins us from our Abuja studio, as well as Mrs. Betta, who is National Women Leader of the All Progressives Congress, also joins us from Abuja, only this time virtually. Thank you for joining us, ladies. Let me begin with you, Dr. Ndok-Jegede. Now, needless to say, a lot of action has been taken and is being taken. What would you make of how quickly or not we are taking action along the line of increased women participation? Let's begin from participation in our political life. Can you hear me, madam?
Just a bit. I lost you at the last session. I lost you.
Okay.
Could you go over it again, please?
Yes, definitely. Just wanted to confirm how you would say we have performed as a nation in terms of facilitating women participation in politics since, at least, let's begin from the Fourth Republic.
Between you and good morning, and thank you for having me on this program. Between you and I, we know that nothing much has been achieved as far as that participation of more women in politics is concerned. My take is that the political parties that are supposed to field women in different positions are not doing enough as far as that is concerned. So I believe that contributes to the disparity of women participation in politics. So we need the political parties actually to enlighten, empower, and emancipate more women participation in politics.
Dr. Edu, I hope you can hear me. Dr. Ndok-Jegede says that the political parties who are supposed to field the women. My question to you is, are there enough women coming out and offering themselves to be fielded to start with?
Thank you very much for having me this morning. So I think first is a very critical issue that Africa and indeed Nigeria needs to pay special attention to. We must be very deliberate in including our women in the political leadership and governance space. And I'm happy that my party is actually pushing hard on that right now. The first step is the fact that we as a party, APC, were able to sensitize our women to come all out and participate in the entire process, both from the level of delegates to contesting for elections and the rest of it. We had lots of women come out for the very first time. We offered them the nomination forms, free of charge. Remember, there are barriers that hold women back from participating in politics. One of it is their financial capacity. So when they don't have the capacity to buy the forms, they don't have the capacity to run the elections, they feel very weak coming out to participate in the electoral process. So they just want to chant and support the male folks to get to where they want to go to. So we tried to take off some of these barriers, and we saw a lot of women come out, and presently on the ticket of our party, we have close to 95 women who are running in the next general election from the next 2 weeks into March.
That's interesting. 95 women. Well, I suppose compared to times before now, that's a huge number of women.
Very huge as compared to before now. Very huge.
Yes, it is a huge number. Dr. Ndok-Jegede, the main constraint from my reading is the funds. How are women going to get the funds to compete on the same level as the men? Or do the men have to give us tokens because we don't have the money?
Finance has been a problem for most women contestants or participants in politics. I think we need to begin to look at avenues to raise funds for most women. So a lot of enlightenment, education, and support should be coming from CSOs. There are international organizations giving grants. So it is the responsibility of whosoever or the party who is representing, bringing a woman to contest to source for such avenues for female participants. But I would say that it is the responsibility of whoever wants to participate to move around, to source for funds, plan and prepare herself for whatever election or position she is interested in. Because nobody is going to help you. Nobody.
Well, is there any, beside money, what other challenges do you see women having in terms of participating in politics and growing in the political space? That's for you, Dr. Ndok-Jegede.
I mean, I've been contesting elections since 2011. In 2007, I contested as a VP on the platform of New Nigeria People's Party, and I contested presidency in 2011 on the platform of United National Party for Development. And I don't really see any problem apart from the finance, because I have been accepted everywhere I go. If you have what it takes, if you have, your onions, people actually will accept you if you can deliver.
But then that also raises another issue. I'll stick with you for a moment, Dr. Ndok-Jegede. That also raises the issue of capacity. I'm not sure. I mean, just as you said, people have to search for the women. Both of you have made reference to that. Have to search for the women who have the capacity or who can match, at whatever level in the political space. Do you see a system in our country, whether in public life or in political life, that prepares women for leadership or for this political practice? Do you see a system around it?
There's no system presently, but I personally am looking into creating a level playing field for more women participation in politics. Because I'm starting an NGO called Women's Solidarity Worldwide. And I'm looking for, where I will be looking for women who are strong enough, who have the capacity intellectually and leadership-wise that can deliver and support them financially. I will make it my responsibilities to actually source the funds and allow them, bring them into political parties as well, enlighten them and prepare the grounds for them. But I believe the next election is going to be a better position or a better time for us to be able to include more women. This time for 2023, it is late, but there is room for change. There is room for development.
Dr. Edu, kindly give us the benefit of your experience. You are one of the, should I say, lucky women, and you have risen to become a national leader. What has the journey been like for you? And I'm asking this so that those who are the young ladies and women who are aspiring to come into politics will be able to learn a thing or two from you.
Okay, so first was the fact that I had that very strong support from my family, especially my father, who believed a lot in the female gender and would always tell you that you are the best thing that has happened to Nigeria, and you had a lot of impact to play, a huge role to play in the development of our country. And so it kept me focused on what is expected of me. And then secondly, I was lucky enough to have my capacity built, both in terms of academics and exposure at a very young age. So almost at 14 plus, I was done with the secondary school, and then I headed on to the university. I was done being a medical doctor. It was lots of hard work, concentration, and hard work at every level, building my capacity as much as I can and preparing myself for opportunities that might arise. The truth of the matter is it's not an easy thing for a woman to rise in a patriarchal society. Nigeria is one, and we must be able to face that fact. First and foremost, the structures are not in support of the women. Secondly, we have cultural barriers, we have religious barriers, we have empowerment issues where women are not financially empowered. We have issues where women don't have, we don't have so many women with enough capacity in terms of education, where they are less educated as compared to the male folks. We thank God that that picture is beginning to change by the day. And then, of course, the ideology that women should not be in leadership, women should not be in governance, women should not be in politics. If you find a woman in politics, then that woman is wayward, that woman is not focused, that woman doesn't know what she wants out of life. So it's not been very easy. For me as a person, it's been that hard work and indeed mentorship from several mentors who have worked under, like the governor of Cross River State and his wife, and of course several other mentors that have worked under them. They have taught me, they've groomed me, and they've raised me. I became a special advisor to the governor in my 20s. I became a director general of an agency in my 20s, early 30s. I became a commissioner for health and the chairman of all the commissioners of health in Nigeria in my early 30s. And at every point in time, I've been basically the youngest in the group. But then it's not about the age, but about the capacity and what you bring to the table. And so for me, my message to young women, number one, you must work hard. Number two, you must build your capacity, build your educational capacity, build your capacity to represent, get the right exposure that you need. Number three, you need the right mentors that can be able to talk to you, mentors that can call you when you're diverted from your focus and put you on the right track. And then number four, you need to have faith in yourself. You need to have confidence in yourself that you have solutions. Once you have solutions to offer, automatically you begin to lead. And leadership does not start from when you are in one big leadership position or the other. It begins from your household. It begins from your society. It begins from your community. What are the issues on ground? And how can you as a woman profile solutions to them? Remember, you have to work sometimes twice as hard as a man to get the same credit and the same impact that a man will get. So I advise women.
My apologies for butting in, Dr. Edo. I find that rather interesting because it's not the same parameters, if I can use that word, in private life. I mean, in private business. It's not the same in the private sector. We have had women, we still do have women who are heading ministry, big businesses, running into all kinds of levels of, I don't even know, money and all of that. So are you saying by any shade of commitment or whatever, that we have a completely different set of rules for public life as opposed to private sector participation?
Very true. Very true. I'll just give you a very simple example. A man will be more confident and happy with his wife managing a business or managing his own business, and will be less comfortable with his wife becoming the governor of a state.
Okay.
Right? So those are the kind of things that you face. In the public space, it's a different ball game entirely. In politics, in leadership, in governance, it's a different ball game entirely. Our party today has a woman who is running for the governorship of a state, Adamawa State. And you can imagine that people will come out and say, no, a woman cannot rule. A woman cannot be on top of them. In the religion, it does not allow women to be on top. A man should lead. That's what the religious book says, and the rest of it. So the political space is completely different from the private sector, even though in the private sector they still face some of those challenges, but then in the political sector it's lots more. And we keep encouraging women, go out there, speak up. We pray that we get the right legislations in place. This will form the framework for women to really be emboldened to come out and demand for their right and participate fully in politics and governance.
Dr. Ndok-Jegede, what has your experience been? Because you just told us that you vied for office twice before, and not just any old office, high up offices. How did the men... How did the men react to you coming forward?
My interest in making a change to my community. I was playing politics in England. I was an activist, working on with CSOs, with what we call voluntary organizations in England, fighting for people's rights. Contributing to making a change for Africans in the United Kingdom. And I just thought that, I could make a change when I come to my country. And that is what led me to register United National Party for Development. And while I was there, I was able then to put my name in for elective position. So, I mean, it's a matter of interest, the love, and the care that you have to make a contribution to the society. So that is what has brought me to this level.
How did the men react when you put yourself forward?
Well, a little bit of reticence at the initial stage, but when they see my passion and my love for the people and the kind of ideas that I raise, they began to respect me for who I am and for what I stand for.
Let me come back to you, Dr. Edu, because at the end of the day, I mean, you're already beginning to give counsel to young people about the things that they need to do and to not do and all of that. But with the distractions that they have to face first, the hurdles of their own personal lives, personal discoveries that they have to face first, how can society help? You made it clear that first of all, it is the responsibility of the individual to get this thing done for himself or for herself, and that's understandable. But speaking to women generally now, there's a lot of political activity going on right now. What are the safe ways in which young people can come in? Of course, Dr. Ndok-Jegede said earlier that, look, forget about 2023, it's all gone. But there's always a preparation and always a sustainable activity that people need to get into. What are the safe spaces that you would recommend for the young women to go into, and the ones that they shouldn't go into, irrespective of what age they are in right now and the challenges that they are currently facing?
So I answered this question in two ways, right? Number one, 2023 is the time to start. If women believe that would have an increased number of representation in the next 4 years, the time to start that action is now. So what are the constitutional reviews we need to do? How can we participate in politics at local level? How can you get involved in the electoral process? How can you get involved with the election day process? So you begin to understand the expectation of anyone who is running and those who are voting for that person. Get fully involved. Understand what INEC does. Understand what the security agencies do. Understand what the electorate, what they do and how they go about the entire process is very, very important. So you must do that self-education. Now, on the aspect of society, what should society be doing for that woman to ensure that she is encouraged? You have heard in recent times where we have programs like He for She, where the federal government have, through the Ministry of Women Affairs, have recruited men to become advocates too for women. So women are not struggling the space with you. We're not saying we're equal to you. We're not saying we're parallel to you. We're just saying that we are partners in nation building, and we must be given the right seats at the table to contribute our quota. So at this point in time, Nigeria needs to be conscious of raising he for she's, men who would deliberately go out there to stand, speak, and support women. This should begin from the home. This should begin from the society. So the homes where men look at women who are involved in politics, leadership, or governance as being wrong, we should begin to change our mindset from that way. Of course, beyond the home, the society, we should be encouraged at all levels to participate in leadership, in governance, and our voices should be heard. Churches, religious houses should work hard at encouraging women to get into leadership positions and sensitizing them on the right ways to go. And then for the women, very soon, beyond these general elections, you'll soon be having local government elections. You can start from the grassroots. You can be a ward woman leader. You can be a state woman leader, local government woman leader. You can run for councillor. You can run for chairman of council, or you can be a vice chairman of council. We can encourage the twinning culture where women can participate with a man. If a man is the governor, a woman is the deputy, a man is a chairman, a woman is a deputy. And then we need more programs across the nation, programs that empower women. So if there are programs that we are writing under any disguise in any sector, we must be very, very gender sensitive as a country. So in the beneficiary, whether it's employment, whether it's contract, whether it's a program, 80%, 70%, 50%, 40%, 30% should be females. This is how you begin to build financial capacity of those who run elections in the next 4 years. And of course, beyond that, we can have other programs that will sensitize women, that will bring them out, that will embolden them, that will tell them their rights and the things they can do to contribute their own quota to nation development. So these are ways, low-hanging fruits, that both the society, government, and indeed the individuals can key in to what is going on in politics, in leadership, and in governance.
Do you see a situation where the political parties actually create a system like that? For instance, your own party, do you see a situation, or is there such a plan of developing, perhaps by way of policy or whatever it is, a system where the political parties develop systems or policies or activities or practices that encourage or educate, strengthen, build the capacity of women so we can achieve that gender parity going by the Beijing conference?
I think this will be a very huge opportunity to, again, educate and inform Nigerians of what is going on in our party and what is actually going on with the entire process, election process that is going on. First and foremost, we had a constitutional review early last year where it was revealed that for delegates, both at the ward, local government and state level, out of every 5, 2 must be women. So that constitutional review has given women that right to participate. In fact, implementation at some point, we saw them, some places bringing in all 5 men. And we sent the list back and said, the constitution says 2 must be women. So go and look for 2 women and put them on the list. And then, of course, at the national delegate level, where they vote for the presidential candidate, 1 out of every 3 must be female, and that was followed to the later. So these are constitutional reviews that already begin to give women that empowerment. I also mentioned to you about the free forms which we give to women. But beyond that, I think it's an opportunity for me to speak about our presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He is a man who has promised Nigerian women that he will be giving 35% affirmative actions in his entire government. So both in leadership positions, employment, contract, 35 is the minimum that Nigerian women will get. And he has shown this from the beginning. He has shown this in past. In Lagos as a state, he was the first one who started the twinning, where a governor runs with a woman as his vice. He was the first one who made the head of the judiciary a woman in Lagos. And of course, I can go on and on to give you his full dossier and his support for Nigerian women. And that's why we're calling on them to vote for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Dr. Ndok-Jegede, is there any such system in your party, any deliberate policy in your party to groom women? Because we want more women on this playing field.
Actually, I was working with the UN Women. When I registered, I floated the United National Party for Development. I put it to them that what the UNPD wanted to do was to encourage more women participation. Incidentally, this 2023 election, what I prepared with another party that I was working with was a governor, if we have a male governor, a female governor. And we were actually working with 30% affirmative action, preparing for this election. Unfortunately, that party, incidentally, is having a little bit of problem because they've fallen into 2 factions. So that is what is creating problem. But all through the line, from presidential down to senatorial, representative, local government, we tried to put 30% in every position for the 2023 election. So as soon as they get through with INEC, I'm sure something is going to be different.
Are there more women now as opposed to when you contested in 2017?
11.
11 women?
2011. No, I didn't catch you. What was the question?
Are there more women in your party now, and are there more women stepping forward for to contest for positions now than when you contested?
Yes, I actually attended a UN meeting a week before Christmas last year. And I was surprised because we had a lot of women attend the meeting. We had 25 female governor contestants, and across board, a lot of women are actually contesting elections now. Unfortunately, you know, like we started before, the financial problem that is creating their exposure is what is standing in the way. But more women actually came out for this meeting with the United Nations before Christmas.
Okay.
So I'm sure
we have run
after this one, come next election, they have learned their lesson that finance is a problem. They will make better inroad into looking for funding.
Well, we have to thank you very much, ladies, for being a part of this program this morning. And let's hope that a good number of women have also been encouraged and challenged or provoked, if I can use whichever of the words, who are listening right now to say, I think I can give this a try. Dr. Ebiti Ndok-Jegede, Chairperson, United National Party for Development, as well as Dr. Betta Edu, National Women Leader, All Progressives Congress. Thank you so much for being a part of our conversation this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so we'll take a short break, and when we return,